Georgia has won the national championship this year against Texas Christian. So back-to-back titles for the Dogs. This is their 8th overall national championship, 1920, 1927, 1942, 1946, 1968, 1980, 2021, and 2022. 4 of those, 42, 80, 21, and 22, are consensus national championships. 2 of them are in the college football playoff era, 21 and 22. Georgia with back-to-back titles. Now we can have this discussion about a dynasty. Is that what Georgia's on the cusp of? Because any more championships, these are Dean Legge rules. Any more championships in the next 5 years would constitute a dynasty. Just an amazing season for the Dogs. When you think back to the Oregon game and how much stress the Ohio State game was, surviving that game by a point. The road win at Missouri. There were a lot of trying moments. I thought Georgia was the better team than Oregon. I thought they were the better team of everyone they played this season. But perhaps the defining moment of the year was one of 2 moments: the win over Tennessee and the win against Ohio State. I mean, both those games were, the way Georgia beat Tennessee was just total beating, total bloodletting, all of it. And then the resiliency and fight against Ohio State was exceptional, and it led to this. It led to these moments here. This is right here. This is what we got coming your way. Double Dogs, national championship. How Kirby Smart's Dogs reach perfection in 2022. You can order this right down below. It's going to take a little bit of more writing. Obviously, we're punching this right as the Dogs have won the national championship, but don't miss out. I can only order them so fast. So be one of the first people to order them. You're one of the first people to have the opportunity to order it. So get that today. This is not real size. It's just like the other book in terms of size. So do not miss this. The cover might change. We're just going to see, but I kind of doubt that the cover will change. So take advantage of that while you can. The link is down below. If the link doesn't immediately work, click it one more time because we're doing all this stuff on the fly from Los Angeles. But, now you're talking about a program that is the premier program in college football. It's no longer Alabama. They have, in the most recent years, defeated these teams: Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, Clemson, LSU. These are all teams that lately have either played for or been in the playoff or whatever. They have beaten the number 1 team in the country twice in the last 16 games: Tennessee in Athens, Alabama in Indianapolis. This is a team that, in a program that has become the gold standard of college football. How long that will last, we don't know. But tonight with the win over TCU, Georgia really, we see this about once a decade. Even as good as Alabama was in the 2010s, as good as USC was in the 2000s, which was not as good as Alabama in the 2010s, and Nebraska in the 90s, which was not as good as Alabama in the 2010s. We don't see this back-to-back championship very often. It's about once a decade. So, Alabama came very close to winning 3 in a row in 13. It didn't happen. And then in 14, they were tripped up by Ohio State. They didn't win another national championship until 15. So these moments don't last forever. And I think that, for Georgia fans, the celebration of a year ago is going to be one thing. That was more about getting over the hump. Can this program do it? Kirby can't win the big one stuff. Now the question is, how long is this going to last? Georgia, we've seen there's pockets of time in college football. Nebraska won all of Nebraska's run came as the Big 8 was concluding. It became the Big 12. And Nebraska was never the same. They've not been the same since in the last 25 years. They just haven't. When you look at USC, that era was really Pete Carroll. Okay. Yes, Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush, but it was the Pete Carroll era where they were so good. But they only won it with Matt Leinart. And then with Alabama, we've seen what Nick has done over time. And it's not just A.J. McCarron. It was with A.J. and a throw from Tua and just how good Mac Jones was. And, all of these teams, they won the national championship with Jake Coker as the starter. So all of these teams for Alabama, have had different circumstances. For Georgia, in this case, it's only been with Stetson Bennett. So now the question will become, can Kirby Smart win a national championship without Stetson Bennett? I think the answer to that is clearly, to me, yes. I don't know if the answer is so obvious, can he win it without Todd Monken? I think the answer to that is still yes, but it's not as obvious as you would imagine. But I just, it's an amazing accomplishment for the vision of Kirby Smart from the beginning. Even before he was at Georgia, I can speak to this a little bit. Even before he was at Georgia, he knew how good Georgia could be, and how good that it should be. But it took some time, right? I mean, year one was up and down, more up than down. But a loss to Vanderbilt, a loss in the last play of the game to Tennessee in a miraculous fashion. The loss to Georgia Tech, which was a disaster at the time, but that led to the return of Nick and Sony, the return of Davin Bellamy, Lorenzo Carter, a slew of guys coming back. They wanted that. They wanted that time to be. They were not satisfied with the way they ended their careers, had they left as juniors, and they came back and made a legacy. The most important day of Kirby Smart's early tenure at Georgia was the return of those guys. I don't, I think everybody thinks, and to some degree, let me just say this way. Everybody was so certain that Jacob Eason would be the answer. But that day shows that it's a group of guys. And that's really what Georgia's program has become, is there's no one person that you have to shut down. There's a lot of people you got to deal with. And, Nick's return, Sony's return, Lorenzo, Davin, these were all guys that were older guys. They were leaders. It wasn't necessarily about Jacob or Trent Thompson or, whoever. It was all sorts of guys. And eventually, of course, they made their run in a magical season in 2017 that had wins over, obviously Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, the Jackets, Auburn and Atlanta, Oklahoma, but then a painful loss to Alabama, which showed Georgia was just not quite where it had to be or needed to be. The tough loss on the final play of the game to Alabama in 18, the humbling loss to LSU in 19, the scatterbrained season that was 2020. All of these were steps towards 2021 and getting Stetson ready. I'm on the sideline for games and heard the conversation between Stetson and Kirby in 2019 after a pick six. They were developing Stetson. And I can assure you, they never thought he would be the starting quarterback at Georgia. They certainly never thought he would be the starting quarterback that would deliver 2 national championships to a program that was starved for them for 4 decades. Let me keep saying this too. This Georgia program should be winning national championships. Things like double dogs, that should occur. Dog instruction, that should occur. These are things that should happen at Georgia. Doesn't mean it's easy. It does not mean it's easy. Nothing about that Ohio State game was easy. But Teams like Georgia should win the national championship. They should win it multiple times, and now they have. Teams like Ohio State, Florida, USC, Texas, these are programs that should do it. Well, all of those that we just mentioned, only one of them's got a national championship. That's Ohio State, and only got one since 2001. So the Georgia is finally getting to the stage where it should be. And we're watching basketball get better at Georgia too under Mike White. Now, how long that will last, I don't know. But Georgia it's not like other places. You don't need Kirby Smart to be the head coach to tell you that. You need him to show you that. You need Kirby Smart to be the head coach of Georgia to know which knobs to turn and which buttons to push and to get them in the right position for these things. Georgia is a special place. You can't say that about everywhere because everywhere is not special. But in the case of Georgia, it is, and tonight helped prove that. Georgia will go to the 2023 season with an attempt to three-peat. It is possible. It may not be probable, but it is possible. And this will be a team that, a program now that is firmly at the top of college football. The question is for how long, but tonight, another chance for Georgia fans to ring the victory bell on campus, a chance to scream and sing glory, glory. And you don't just, national championship nights don't just happen. You can ask Michigan about that. You can ask Alabama about that. Texas, it's been years, decades. USC, Nebraska, the Florida Gators, it's been decades now. So these moments don't just happen. They're not common. They should happen at Georgia. But you need to savor this. You need to take advantage of this and go have fun. Thanks for watching. Make sure you're picking up Double Dogs. The link is down below. Thanks for watching.